Chapter 20, Fourth Declension. Chapter 20 covers the following: the formation of fourth declension nouns, the ablative of separation, and at the end of the lesson we'll review the vocabulary which you should memorize in this chapter. There is one important rule to remember here. Fourth declension contains U-stem nouns, which are almost all masculine in gender. Fourth declension. Fourth declension is Latin's U-stem declension, in which almost all the nouns are masculine in gender. Ironically, the one major exception is probably the most commonly used fourth declension noun, manus manus feminine, meaning hand. This declension is unique to Latin. Among Indo-European languages, there really isn't anything exactly like it. Seen from the long view linguistically, it was a short-lived attempt by the Romans to create a distinctive U-stem declension. And the experiment didn't turn out well. By historical standards, fourth declension didn't last long. As early as the 4th century of the Common Era, fourth declension forms were beginning to be subsumed into second declension, and by the end of the Classical Age, the declension had begun to disappear altogether. But during the Classical Age, the period to which the Latin we are studying dates, it was a fully active form, so you have to know it. Here are the endings for fourth declension. Let's recite them together. Us, us, ui, u, us, ibis, us, ibis. Notice the strong presence of u. It dominates 8 of the 10 forms, producing what has to be the most distinctive genitive plural ending in Latin, uum, u-u-m. Only the dative and ablative plural avoid this u, following third declension, with ibis in both forms. In fact, third declension is the key to memorizing fourth declension, if you think of it as nouns with the base ending in u, with third declension endings added on. Looking at it that way can save you some time memorizing endings. A very important thing to note about fourth declension masculine and feminine are the 3 mandatory long marks it contains. These are found in the genitive singular, the nominative plural, and the accusative plural. All of these distinguish those forms from the nominative singular. And here is a fourth declension noun fully declined. Its translation follows the pattern of other declensions. That is, the nominative serves as the subject, the genitive shows possession, and so on. Fourth declension also includes a very few neuter nouns. Here are the endings for the neuter. U, us, u. I just love saying those. Ua, ibis, ua, ibis. And here's a fourth declension neuter noun, cornu, cornus, one of the very few attested in Latin, fully declined. Cornu, cornus, cornu, 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 cornua, cornuum, cornibus, cornua, cornibus. Note the distinctive u ending in the singular and ua ending in the plural, preserving the tradition that neuter plurals, in their nominative and accusative, end in a. And also note, there are no mandatory long marks here. In fact, I added the long mark on the genitive singular in cornus only to maintain a certain consistency with masculine and feminine fourth declension forms. That long mark doesn't distinguish forms, and therefore technically it's not mandatory. Now let's look at the only other piece of grammar in this chapter, the ablative of separation. The term ablative denotes separation in Latin. Ab means from, lat means carry or go. Thus the original use of the ablative was to indicate where something came from. Other uses like means and objects of prepositions developed later. In other words, the ablative of separation shows the oldest, the original use of the ablative. The ablative of separation naturally occurs with verbs that have a built-in sense of separation, like the verb cario, which means lack. For example, Pecunia cario. I lack money. Literally, I am separate from money. Notice the lack of any preposition in this construction. So when a word in the ablative has no preposition, and its meaning denotes that two things are apart from each other, for instance, me and money, then that use of the ablative is called the ablative of separation. The ablative of separation will occur mainly with verbs which imply depriving, stealing, freeing, and so on. So far, the two verbs we've encountered which expect the ablative of separation are cario and libero, lack and free. Eventually, when you start reading Latin poetry, you'll find that the ablative of separation is employed quite liberally by Roman poets. But that's far off down the road. For now we'll deal only with the way prose authors employ this sense of the ablative. One more thing to note here. When an ablative noun has a sense of from, but has a preposition like ab, ex, or de in front of it, we won't call it an ablative of separation. We'll simply say it's the object of that particular preposition, whatever the preposition may be. While Mr. Wheelock calls that use of the ablative of place from which, the term is unnecessary. We won't use it in this class. That's it for the grammar in Chapter 20. Now let's look at the vocabulary. The first word is fructus fructus, masculine, meaning fruit, profit, or enjoyment. It's a fourth declension masculine noun. Us is the abbreviation used in many dictionaries to indicate fourth declension. A 4 in parentheses indicates the same. Fructus really means the best part or the point of something, as in the best part or the point of an apple tree is the apple, that is, its fruit. Similarly, wisdom could be called the fruit of experience. The next word is Graikii, feminine, meaning Greece. It's a first declension feminine noun. We've already encountered another permutation of the base underlying Graecia, Greik, when we learned the noun Graikos Graiki masculine, meaning a Greek man. The next word is manus, feminine, meaning hand. It's a fourth declension feminine noun, one of the few fourth declension nouns that's feminine in gender. Its basic meaning is hand, but it also came to mean a handful, later a handful of people, thus a band. This word has other senses in Latin, which will be familiar to many English speakers. For instance, it can also mean a type of writing, as in a scribe's hand. It can mean the power of a father at home. It can mean the style or skill of a particular artist, as in a painter's hand. And it can also mean one side of the body, as in left or right hand. The next word is metus, masculine, meaning fear or dread. It's a fourth declension masculine noun. What would be its nominative plural? That's right, metus. That long mark on the U is mandatory. The next word is sceleris, neuter, meaning evil deed, crime, sin, or wickedness. It's a third declension neuter noun. What would be its nominative plural? It's neuter, remember? Good for you, sclera. The next word is senatus, masculine, meaning senate. It's a fourth declension masculine noun. The base of this noun is sen, meaning old, to which has been appended the suffix atus, meaning legislative office. You should already be familiar with the sen base from another word that uses it, senex, meaning old man. Etymologically, then, senatus means a legislative body consisting of elders or old men. No comment. The next word is servitus servitutis, feminine, meaning servitude or slavery. It's a third declension feminine noun. Please note it's third declension, not fourth. And it's feminine, as all nouns which go tus tutus in third declension are. The next word is versus versus, masculine, meaning line of verse. It's a fourth declension masculine noun. Versus comes from a base seen also in the verb verto vertere, meaning turn. We'll learn that verb later. Versus originally meant the turn of a plow when a farmer begins a new furrow. To the Romans, lines of poetry stacked up on top of each other looked like furrows, and thus the word versus came to have the meaning a line of verse. The next word is communis commune, meaning common or general. It's a third declension adjective, and as is the rule with third declension adjectives, it's I stem. So, what is its ablative singular? Good. Communi. And its genitive plural? Communium. The next word is another third declension adjective, gravis grave, meaning heavy, weighty, serious, important, severe, or grievous. The Indo-European base underlying this word is seen also in Sanskrit in the word guru, meaning literally a heavy man, with the connotation a wise man, a man who carries the weight of learning. From the same base comes the Greek adjective baros, also meaning heavy, and giving us words like barometer, a scientific instrument for measuring the weight of air, that is, the air pressure. What would be the accusative singular, masculine and feminine, of gravis? Good. Grawem. And what would be the accusative singular, neuter? That's right, neuter nominatives and accusatives are always the same, so it must be grave. The next word is a preposition, contra. It means against. It takes an accusative object. How would Latin say, against evil men? Think about it for a second. That's a substantive, so you don't need a word for men. All you need to do is take the adjective evil and put it in the masculine gender. But what case? That's right, accusative. Singular or plural? Evil men, so it's plural. And what's the adjective for evil? Malus. So, against evil men is contra malos. The next word comes in two forms, which are virtually interchangeable, neque or neck, both meaning and not or nor. This is a negative conjunction. It's a combination of ne, a negator, plus que, the enclitic we've already encountered, which means and. Two neques in close succession, as in neque something else, mean neither nor. The same is true of neck. And the final word in this vocabulary list is a verb, cario, carere, carui, carituris. It means be without, be deprived of, want, lack, or be free from. It's a second conjugation verb. Because of its basic meaning, be without, cario implies separation, and thus it takes an ablative of separation after it. Please note that it does not ever take an accusative direct object. And that's because this verb has no true passive. You can't be without it, be lacked. And that's why the fourth principal part, carituris, no doubt looks odd to you. It's not a perfect passive participle. There are no passive forms for this verb, participle or otherwise. Carituris is in fact a future active participle, a form we'll address in later chapters. So, how would Latin say, we will lack? What conjugation is this verb? Oh yes, it's second. So, how do second conjugation verbs form their future? Is it with E? No. Second conjugation uses bi. So, we will lack carebemus. And that's it. That's the end of the presentation for Chapter 20. Does the rule that was cited at the beginning of this chapter now make sense to you? If not, please review this presentation. If so, please proceed to the next slide. For the next class exercise, please print out a copy of the practice and review sentences for Chapter 20. You'll find them on page 95 of Wheelock. There's also a worksheet we'll do in the next day or two, which reviews pronouns. Here's a link to that worksheet. Please print it out as well. Valete o discipuli. Don't forget. Us,